10 years ago, gates to other worlds opened on Earth, letting in dangerous monsters. Just then, the Awakened started appearing. They were the people with superpowers. These awakened people became hunters who hunted down the monsters. And we finally get to see our main character, who is getting beaten down by bullies. His name is Kang Ji-young, and although he is awakened, he's just a loser. We see some bullies ganging up on Ji-young and humiliating him by calling him a worm at the Awakened Specialization High School. All he has is the ability to regenerate. It is supposed to be an S-rank ability, but not for Ji-young, because whenever he regenerates, he experiences unbearable pain. The bullies attack him, laugh at him, and enjoy the view as Ji-young squirms his body due to excruciating pain. The worst thing is that there is no proof of the bullying left on his body, due to regeneration. Once he is healed, the teachers or the police won't do anything, at least to the S-rank awakened students, who receive special treatment from the government. The reason Ji-young is still enduring all these is because of his mom, as his father died when he was just 5. Ji-young's mother asks him how he is doing in school while he eats, and with a fake smile, he replies that it is great as he does not want to make her worry. Ji-young can become a hunter once he graduates, so he must endure all the bullying for his mom. He thinks to himself while eating that he can at least become a C-rank hunter with his ability. He knows that his income will be small, but he will be able to give his mom a better life and a better place to live. Ji-young was preparing for his mother's birthday, but it was all in vain. It is revealed that Ji-young's mother was beaten into a coma by the same bullies who bullied him at school. And of course, the bullies lied and told everyone that it was an accident, but in reality, it wasn't. These bullies came to Ji-young's mother's workplace and tried to misbehave with her. When she resisted and accidentally dropped one of their phones on the ground, the screen cracked. And just then the bullies lost their demeanor and attacked Ji-young's mother with all their abilities. Until she was badly injured, Ji-young knows them, and at this moment he cannot control his anger. We see him clenching his jaw so hard that even his teeth broke and fell to the ground. Ji-young enters a state of rage, where he can no longer keep his emotions under control. He fell down on his knees and screamed in agony, while the cake that he brought for his mom spatters on the floor. Meanwhile, we see the bullies hanging out together, talking about Ji-young's mother. One of them asks, what will happen if she dies? To which another replies, who cares? He jumps down from the rock on which he was lying down and tells him that they are young enough to be protected by the law, and on top of that, they are awakened. In the next moment, we see him intimidating the other guy by saying that this was not the first time he beat someone up. Just then, a shadow figure walks out of the bushes and asks the bullies, why did they do it? It is Ji-young. And he walks up to the bullies and questions them again. The bullies seem confused about his question, to which Ji-young asks them again, why did they do that to his mom? At this point, Ji-young is overflowing with rage. The bullies had no essence of guilt on their faces. Instead of apologizing to Ji-young, they tried to play it off by asking him, if that was his mom. They further insulted Ji-young by telling him that she really looked young and that he almost flirted with her. After listening to this, Ji-young could no longer control his body. He sprinted towards the bullies but was impaled with a diamond spear right through his chest. But Ji-young pulls it out of his body. And even though he is in a lot of pain, he's still determined to take his revenge. But the bullies are just as strong. The diamond-powered guy summons numerous diamond spears and impales him. Without even giving it a second thought, he throws them all at Ji-young. He asks who Ji-young thinks he is and calls him a loser. While Ji-young is bleeding from all the deep wounds, but Ji-young, driven by his rage, completely ignores the pain and keeps moving forward toward them. We see the bullies talking to each other. He refers to one of them by the name Thor and asks him to show Ji-young real pain. After listening to this, Thor fires up all his lightning on Ji-young, managing to burn all of his body, and we see him fall to his knees, groaning in pain. The bullies then start walking away from there. But just then Ji-young grabs one of their feet and says that he is not done with them. The diamond guy gets very angry at this and turns his fist into a diamond. He then uses it to punch Ji-young repeatedly while he beats Ji-young. He calls him a loser and tells him why he is blaming them when he was the one who couldn't protect his mother. But the bully soon realizes that this time he won't be able to shake off Ji-young by just beating him. He asks the last guy in the group and calls him Sandman and asks him to dig a big hole. Thor asks the diamond guy what he's planning on doing. He tells them to shut up and uses his powers to create a cocoon of diamonds filled with spikes around Ji-young. Even when Ji-young is trapped, he tells them that he will kill them all no matter what happens, to which the bully tells Ji-young that he can try, if he can even get out. And we see how Sandman uses his powers to bury Ji-young deep in the ground while he's trapped in the diamond cocoon. Ji-young, inside the cocoon, is in a very uncomfortable position. In rage and despair, he bites his lips. He tries to break the cocoon by punching through it. But as expected, he cannot break the diamond with his fists, as the cocoon is tightly sealed. There is only a limited amount of oxygen in it. And soon Ji-young started to gasp, as there was no air to breathe. Ji-young was going to pass out, but his regeneration ability kicked in, forcing him to stay conscious. While his regeneration ability caused him excruciating pain, his entire body shakes and squirms in pain, as it gets to the point where he even tries to end his life. But then again, his regeneration ability doesn't allow him to do so. Ji-young thinks that at this moment he is absolutely powerless, but he suddenly remembers his mom and how she must be feeling the same at this moment. He clenched his teeth and made up his mind that he would get out, no matter what happened to him. After that, Ji-young started to punch the diamond cocoon with everything he had. Ji-young didn't stop his flurry of punches after that, promising himself to get out alive. The story skips a few years into the future, and we see a few S-rank hunters being interviewed by a big channel. The interviewer asks them that he has heard that they often do volunteer work, to which the heroes reply that yes, they love to do volunteer work. It is then revealed that these are the same bullies that hurt Ji-young's mother and buried him alive. The interviewer asks his next question, stating that he has heard that they hurt a civilian 5 years ago because of an ability outrage, which is obviously a lie. We see the bullies starting to shed tears, trying to gain sympathy from the crowd, as he says that the civil was indeed his close friend's mother. He further makes the excuse that he was just a student back then and couldn't control his abilities. The bully then says that he has apologized to his friend, but he hasn't been able to reach him since then, and states that he would like to apologize to him again. And as he was about to say his fake sorry, we saw a mysterious figure appear on the gate of the studio as the door was kicked, flying towards the bully. However, the bully blocks the door with his quick reflex and by strengthening his arms with diamonds. In the next moment, we see all the civilians run away from the interview location, screaming that a monster has shown up. We see the monster breaking the floor beneath his feet as he walks toward the bullies, and then, with a quick dash, he manages to close the distance and then lands a very deadly blow on the diamond guy. Just then the scene cuts again, and we see Ji-young in the diamond prison, wondering how much time has passed. He questions himself. A few months, a few years. He couldn't even scratch the diamond prison. But Ji-young noticed that his regeneration abilities were different from others, and that every time he was injured inside the diamond prison, he healed back to a more vital state than before. An exoskeleton appeared on his knuckles, so he decided to use this to further hurt his body. His flesh ripped and his bones broke, but he continued to fight back. The pain was worse than death. But it was all worth it, as his exoskeleton evolved to a state that was stronger than a diamond, which helped him finally escape. And then we see the current day, where the monster punches the diamond bully right in the face, sending him flying across the room. Both Sandman and Thor are in disbelief as they look at the monster in front of them. They understood that the monster was none other than Ji Yang. Ji Yang tells them that he is finally out to take his revenge. The diamond guy somehow manages to get up and orders both his lackeys to just kill him. Thor, after listening to him, gathers his lightning and attacks Ji Yang with full force. But Ji Yang manages to endure it all and counters it with a swift dash and jab that decapitates Thor. The other bullies are in disbelief. While Ji Yang stands there unflinching, we see Sandman trying his strength next as he attacks Ji Yang and tries to trap him in a sand coffin. But Ji Yang manages to break out of it easily and grabs Sandman's lower jaw. Ji Yang then pushes him to the ground and kills him with a single punch to the head. Meanwhile, the diamond guy sneaks up on Ji Yang and then punches him on the head, but to his surprise, Ji Yang's head was so hard that even his diamond fist cracked. With a frightened face, the diamond guy summons hundreds of diamond spears and launches them all at Ji Yang. The diamond spears pierce Ji Yang's body, and for a moment, it looked like he finally gave up. But to everyone's surprise, Ji Yang stands up, and seeing this, the diamond guy summons a diamond exoskeleton to fight back Ji Yang and lands a flurry of punches on Ji Yang's face. But Ji Yang replies back with his actions as he grabs diamond guy's fist in his mouth and almost breaks his diamond fist using his teeth. Catching him off guard, Ji Yang doesn't waste any time as he stabs him using one of his own diamond spears. The diamond guy falls to the floor, but using his power, he summons a diamond pillar from the ground and stabs Ji Yang with it. But Ji Yang manages to tear off his arm by using the push in his favor. The diamond guy tries to run away from the scene, but Ji Yang takes another diamond spear and throws it at him, which manages to go right through his back. Ji Yang walks up to the fleeing male, carrying many diamond spears in his hand. One by one, he stabs the diamond guy using his own spears, and when he finally asks who he is and why he's doing this to him, we see Ji Yang tearing off his half mask and finally revealing his identity to his past bully. Even at his final moment, the bully calls our protagonist a worm, and this becomes his last mistake. Ji Yang starts to punch the bully using his fists and the bone spear on his body, and at last, he ends his life. Ji Yang falls to his knees and cries his heart out, reflecting on what he has become and how he had to kill them to satisfy his rage, all while remembering his mom's state in the hospital. In the next scene, we see a party inside a portal that has just hunted down monsters. They praise the only girl in their party for how hard she worked and asked her if it was the first time she'd come down this deep inside the portal. The girl humbly replies with a yes, and thanks them all for looking out for her. Just then, the males of the crew showed their true colors. They tell the girl that no one will know what happened inside the gates, and that it takes a month at least to get out, as they grab the girl's arms and, as they exclaimed, that they were interested in spending a month with her. But all of a sudden, we see one of their heads rolling down to the ground as they look back in surprise, asking themselves, who is it? The hunters ask each other how there was such a strong monster hiding in the dungeon. It's Ji Yang in his monstrous appearance. The hunters are bewildered by this. All of them try to attack him at once, but it's all proven to be useless. One by one, Ji Yang decapitates them all mercilessly. The girl looks at Ji Yang's face and thinks that he is there to save her, but she is wrong, as Ji Yang slices her in half as well. The scene cuts once again, and we see the night where Ji Yang was. We see a shadow appear in the room where he killed all the bullies, questioning Ji Yang about how he feels now that he has finally taken his revenge. The shadow turns out to be a woman, and she is the head of the Korean Hunters Association, Sim Jae-yeon. Ji-young asks her how she knows him, to which she replies that she has been watching him ever since that incident 5 years ago. Ji-young gets furious at this and dashes towards her to strike her down. However, in the nick of time, Jae-yeon says that she can save his mother. Ji-young stops his powerful attack and asks her what she is talking about, to which she replies that she can wake his mother up. Jae-yeon boasts that she is the only S-rank healer in the world. Ji-young is still suspicious of her and asks how he can trust her. Jae-yeon replies back and tells him that he really thought that the hospital was keeping his mother alive and who was paying for his mother's bills. Ji-young asks her what she wants from him in exchange for waking his mother. Jae-yeon tells him that the problem is that most hunters are just as strong, and most military forces are no match for them. Some hunters in the world are even stronger than nuclear forces. Thanks to them, the monsters inside the gates have been mostly killed. However, the gates did not disappear, and now these gateways are being used as pathways. Nations are using them to fight wars, using the hunters as tools. And the biggest issue is that South Korea doesn't have enough strong hunters to fight them back, as they couldn't stop Japanese hunters from invading their lands until Ji-young appeared. If the Korean Hunters Association was to respond to Japan with hunters, it would officially become a war. But if a monster attacks, then in portals, it shouldn't be a problem. Then Jae-young reveals the price that he must pay in order for his mother to be awake. He will have to become the monster of South Korea to protect its borders.